Hi, I'm Sandy with Lightning Tools, and I'm here again with Brett. Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good. Good. How are you?
Good, good. Happy August.
Yeah, I know. I can't believe it's August already.
You know.
It's crazy, flying by at the moment.
Mhm, mhm.
So, how's things with you? It looks like you're on a boat or something.
Yeah, it probably does look like that. I am in an Airbnb just outside of Burlington, Vermont, and it's like got a dormer ceiling, which is kind of hot actually
Yeah.
in this
So it looks
upstairs
like it might be
apartment.
choppy there on that boat, does it?
Oh.
Fantastic. So yeah, I'm in the usual spot. I'm in the
Uh-huh.
office here,
Mhm,
and yeah, we've had a busy week getting ready for our DeliverPoint month.
mhm,
So yeah, we've got all sorts of things going on in that release.
mhm.
Yeah, I guess did you want to summarize anything that's new, or shall I dive in?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Well, so we have a new blog post out that lists each of the new features of DeliverPoint that's coming out this month. It's not quite available yet, but it will be soon. And we'll be having a webinar about it too. So we'll have a link to the blog post and the webinar in the show notes. Um, but yeah, some of the main new features are the in-context help, like we've been adding to a number of our products. We talked about that last time actually in general, but in DeliverPoint, I think it's especially useful because uh, we have several help items, like where you can go right to adding a support ticket. You can add a feature request, for example, right from within DeliverPoint, and you can get to the new getting started guide like we have for each of our tools. But also we've added more tooltips, so the little information buttons beside a lot of the actions, and where you can learn more about things if they need more learning.
Yeah.
And I like how kind of in line with that same concept, we've done some rewording on some of the options that we found people were having some trouble with quite understanding
Understanding
what
what
they
they do.
were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think all in all, those kinds of additions to the product are really user-centric or person-centric. I don't like using the word user. um, that is based on feedback we've had from you, our customers, and allows people to use DeliverPoint more effectively in general without
Yeah.
needing to get extra help.
Absolutely great. Yeah, and we heard a really nice comment recently, actually, about DeliverPoint. Somebody was looking at DeliverPoint versus a few competitor products as well,
Mhm.
and one of the things that they actually said was, you can tell whoever designed this knows permissions inside and out and has
Uh-huh.
addressed every single challenge that we have with
Oh,
permissions.
nice.
And
Uh-huh.
it's so true. It's something that we do create tools that are meaningful, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Sometimes, it's like, okay, well, there is this feature, but you can kind of do that anyway in SharePoint,
Uh-huh.
or what's the benefit of that?
Mhm.
So yeah, the features of DeliverPoint are all extremely time saving
Mhm.
and really useful features, and they do exist for a reason. And
Mhm. Mhm.
if you've never seen DeliverPoint before, I really recommend signing up for a demo or watching a past webinar, because it's a really fantastic tool. And it doesn't matter who's using SharePoint or who's using Teams. As far as your organization, what size of organization you are, you'll find benefit in using DeliverPoint. It's
Mhm.
a massive time-saving tool.
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
really is, just like our pit crew image on
Mhm.
our website. It's
Mhm.
the difference is having that drill to take the wheels off versus a little jack
Mhm.
that comes with your vehicle or something. It's yeah, it's a massive time saver. So
Yeah. And
it's
I would say, even if you have seen DeliverPoint before, it would be good for you to take a look at how it looks now because, yeah, it's, for example, for our customers who maybe had been using it in SharePoint Server and now have moved to SharePoint Online, it blends in so well with
yeah.
the whole modern experience, and that we've had some comments where people assumed that it was part of SharePoint.
Yeah, we have had that. Yeah, in fact, somebody moved organizations. That they transitioned to a different firm, and they said that they reach their help desk because it's like I can't find that discover permissions option. And yeah, sure enough, it's like they didn't realize they were using a third-party tool. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So yeah,
What else
we've
is
got
there?
the help, as you mentioned. So that integrated help is fantastic. We also have a new view called My Own Site Collections, and there's a couple of different ways where DeliverPoint works. One is what I call the sort of contextual way, where you may be signed in as a site owner, or just happen to have full control, or maybe the manage permissions role, and so on. And you can go through and discover the permissions on that site. You can also discover the permissions against items and folders and so on inside of a document library or inside a list, and that includes things like sharing link reports and things like that as well that you can access. So that is, you're signed in as that site owner or as the team owner, and you've got DeliverPoint on the Teams tab, and you're running those reports contextually against that object that you're working within at the moment. And that's a fantastic way to work because you're exploring, like say, the document library. You see a few different folders, and it might just be who has access to that, or what access does this person have to those folders, and so on. You're not having to choose them individually and what have you. You can select multiple files and folders and report on all of them in one go, and that's again a great time saver for sharing links and things like that.
Yep.
The other way of working is through the tree view. So this is more suitable to somebody that is a site owner of many sites, or as a site collection administrator, or you're logging in as IT and want to really sort of report and manage permissions across multiple different scopes. And there's different views for that as well. So you can see an accounts view. There's also classic site collections view. There's Teams view, and so on and so forth. So you can access all of those things from a tree view, and that tree view shows you effectively everything inside your tenant. Now, it can be a bit of a needle in a haystack, even though inside there is a search feature. So if you know the name of the site or team that you're looking for, you can search just part of that, and it's going to bring that up inside the tree view so you can access that site collection and so on. But I hear people running into this all the time where they've created sites and forgot that they created them, especially in Teams. They've created lots of different teams and forgot that they created those. And maybe they didn't get engagement from their users and just forgot that this thing existed. And therefore, this My Own Site Collections view, you can just click on that view and see everything that you are an owner of. So from there, that's kind of like one of my favorite features in this new release is the My Own Site Collections. My second favorite thing is you can discover usage now. So based on that scenario, if you didn't get engagement, you can basically go through and select some of those different sites and site collections that you are the owner of and have a look, see if people are actually using it. Like what's the hit count on those sites, and also the files and so on inside of that site as well. And if that is relatively low or at zero, then of course you might actually decide that, okay, I don't want this site anymore. It may be that you didn't get engagement because the right permissions weren't set on that site and so on. So you can then do all of that with those sites selected as the scope, so you can manage the permissions or report on the permissions and so on, and you're not having to hunt around inside that tree view or navigate to the site itself. So yeah, there's a couple of my favorite new features that blend into each other. I think the usage and that My Own Site Collections works really well, even though you can actually use the usage separately as well. So if you wanted to use that off the tree view, you could also do that.
Yeah, that sounds like it'll be really helpful to people, and people have been asking for something like that too.
Yeah, absolutely right. So, so yeah, that's a great new thing.
And we didn't have anything like either of those, I don't think, in SharePoint Server version of DeliverPoint.
Nope.
Nope.
No,
So,
absolutely not. Correct.
yeah, it's
So
great.
brand new features.
Yeah.
So I guess something that I don't think I do a demo without somebody asking for. That is scheduled reports.
Yeah, or scheduled if you're American.
Scheduled. I think if you're American, you tend to say either, don't you?
Nope.
Does it matter? No?
Never say scheduled.
Well, we'll correct you Americans one day. You'll figure it out. So yeah, all right.
Anyway,
Scheduled permission reports. So yeah, we did originally create this as a separate version of DeliverPoint, and it was going to be the enterprise version of DeliverPoint, but based on a lot of feedback and like I say, a lot of people wanting these features, we've decided to push it into the mainstream DeliverPoint product. And you'll find that it doesn't appear when you first use DeliverPoint. You're not going to see the scheduled options because it does rely on some setup being done in Azure. And as soon as that setup is done, you're going to see the scheduled reports option, and you'll be able to schedule the discover permissions as well as sharing links and unique permission reports as well. So Sandy, do you want to talk a little bit about the setup?
yeah, sure. So we have documentation about the setup, but we are also happy to help with that because it is a little bit complex and it depends on, how familiar you and your IT team are with using applications and Azure and things like that. But the package comes with, as I said, the documentation and a couple of little applications that need to be run on a server. So that needs to be set up. And then also you would need to have an IIS application is one of those. And so you have to have a certificate that works with that. And then you create an application in Azure as well, and also a small SQL database. So and that stores some of the information about the not the reports so much, but the configuration. The reason that all of that needs to be done is that we don't have anything like timer jobs available to us in SharePoint Online, which we did have in SharePoint Server. And so in the DeliverPoint Server edition, we always did have, or as long as I can remember, had scheduled reports. But the only way that can work in SharePoint Online, or that we have found, is to have these applications that run on a frequency, and then when you so you will end up inputting information from that Azure application into the DeliverPoint UI in SharePoint Online, and that's what, as you said, causes the scheduled reports feature to show up in the menu. And then when you set up a scheduled report, that kind of goes into those server applications and the configuration into the SQL database, and then it goes ahead and runs kind of behind the scenes. And whenever it's done running, then it adds the report to a library that you specify within SharePoint Online. And so then that's available to whoever wants it.
Yeah.
And you could add like an alert on that library or something to let people know when the report is ready, or whatever you want to do with that after that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that you could do with that. So yeah, integrating that Power Automate and so on as well. So I think it'd be fantastic to. I know a few clients of ours have wanted to or have succeeded in creating like KPIs for these as well. So yeah, you can have all of those scheduled reports going into the document library, maybe on a quarterly basis or something like that. And part of the auditing requirements is the fact that they have looked at it and they have approved it. So that can be a custom column that you create inside that document library that just they're effectively signing it to say, yeah, I've approved this permission report is as it should be, or they've rejected it because they need some changes being made, or what have you. Yeah, they could be alerted to the fact that that document has landed as well inside that document library, bringing their attention to it. So yeah, so some great features that you could do with that using just native SharePoint as well. So yeah, the reason why this is just not all set up ready to go out of the box is as well because DeliverPoint, it runs within your tenant, and it's not actually storing any data or anything like that. So this is configurations that you need to do in your tenant, as opposed to trusting Lightning tools with your data, and that being a service that we would provide. So it's not that, it is something you configure inside your environment. and then you get that option. And it doesn't therefore involve maybe a different team of people to set it up as well. So you just need to be like a SharePoint admin to get the SPFX app into the app catalog and get that configured away. You will need to go into the SharePoint Admin Center and approve from API requests. But now, in order to get this, and all of that will work, you don't need to have the scheduled reports if you don't need it. But if you do, then that's where you would get involved with your Azure team in your organization and get them to set up those databases and applications. So fantastic, good. And the templates have undergone some changes too. So this is something we did release quite recently, maybe was it in the last release 4 months ago? Or maybe the one before that.
We had the templates?
We had the templates, yeah. Maybe it's
yeah, I think
that.
that was maybe two releases ago that we added templates.
Fantastic. So yeah, the templates are a great way. It's almost along the similar lines. I mean, one of the benefits of actually having the scheduled report is the fact that it just lands there inside the document library in Excel format, so you can access it. But really what you're doing there is, saving time on running that report as well. So with the report templates, you're getting a real-time report that is still manually triggered, but it's got all of the different options and the scope selected for you. So you can set your filters and the refinement options as to what you want to include inside that report, and then you can name that report and access it from the report templates view. Yeah, it can just be one click away, as opposed to every 3 months having to go through and set those filters and forget what you're doing. So yeah, they're fantastic, and yeah, the addition to that is the fact that you can now clone and edit and change the scope of those reports. So let's say you are on the sales team site, just for argument's sake, and you get your Discover Permissions report running exactly as you want it. You've got the refinements, you've got your filters in place and so on. And now you want to do the same thing on your marketing site. So what you can do is just basically clone that template, change the scope to the marketing site, and you're good. You've got that you can trigger from the marketing site as well.
Yeah, that comes up pretty often as a question too, whenever I'm doing demos or onboarding calls with customers or something. And so, yeah, that's exactly what I show them how to do. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice. Very, very cool. And yeah, there's well, a couple of other things to go through as well. So again, backing up to the last release, we implemented tabs. And sometimes you release something and then another requirement comes along on the back of that. So one of the nice things about the tabs was you could run a report, and we have the permission summary report as well, which we implemented. So you could, for example, see that who's got permissions on your site, and you could see that maybe there's somebody that shouldn't have permissions, so you can delete that person or make some changes or whatever. And before, you'd be doing that as one window at a time. So once you'd made that change, you'd then rerun the report in order to be able to see it. Now they're all opening up as tabs. So of course the next obvious thing is like, okay, well, I ran that Discover Permissions report. I then deleted some permissions on these people. Now I want to see what's changed in Discover Permissions, so I can just refresh it now.
So that actually, I think, came from us internally, because we were using the new tabs and kept wishing we had a refresh button.
Yeah, exactly. It sounds basic, but it's a nice add.
And kind of similar, I think, the fact that now external users show up in italics, because that's especially useful in, for example, sharing links reports, which is where you often find your external users. And now they really stand out, because on the report, their name is in italics. Where's the whole row? I think just their name, maybe. But anyway, it's really easy to pick out then, because sometimes they have the same name as maybe an internal person, but it's their external email address, for example, and maybe you don't really want things shared to those external non-tenant addresses, but you can then pick that out really easily. And just as with, whether you're running the, if that's a sharing links report, then you can just select that row and then delete that sharing link, and it's no longer valid. So it gives you an easy way to figure that out.
Yeah,
I like that one.
Definitely. That's a really nice feature, and yeah, I guess that sort of falls under our last point that well, we kind of covered it earlier on as well. Is that's a nice little refinement, and there's a lot of other refinements as well that you find inside the user interface. It's just given DeliverPoint a nicer feel to it and made it more intuitive. So
Even more.
even more intuitive. Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to get that release out and talk about the features a bit more on the webinar. So if you want to go and register for the webinar, easiest way to do it, and I'm sure we'll have the link in the show notes, but if you can go to the lightningtools.com, click onto webinars from the main menu, and you're going to see the link right at the very top to register for our DeliverPoint webinar, which is on the 25th.
That sounds right.
August. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So, and if you can't do that day, register anyway, and then we'll get you the recording in your inbox. So.
Right. Yep. Awesome.
Smashing. Well, enjoy your time in Vermont.
Thank you.
I guess we'll speak in a couple of weeks.
Yep. All right.
All right.
Thanks.
Take care,
Bye.
Sandy. Bye-bye.